Well, hello there. This is a 2021 Trek Marlin 6 review. Had this bike since about July, August. Been riding it almost every day since for training, whatnot. It's been to the mountain bike trails a couple of times. Seen a lot of road miles and just adventuring around, gravel roads, you name it. The SR Sun Tour fork is obviously one of the lowest end components you can get, but it does have a lockout, so there's that. 720 millimeter alloy bar works okay. Trek frames are really more robust than the competition for the most part. I've had a couple of Giants, a Fathom in 2020, and a Talon 1 2021. And with both of those bikes, the rear wheel would slide around in the dropouts, so the rear tire would get canted either to the left or the right of the center of the frame, because the rear wheel was essentially going to fall out of the frame from harsh riding and turning and whatever, actual mountain bike riding. But with this bike, it never does that. And the rear wheel has remained extremely true, which is pretty rare for a bike at this price point, I feel like. These wheels do run Presta valves. Hell, maybe it's Schrader. I can't remember. But they do have a rim strip in there. So I believe you could set it up tubeless the way it is if you had tubeless ready tires, which it does not come with. It comes with XR2 comps, which really are a pretty low end tire. Another good feature of this bike, believe it or not, is the crankset. When you get anything higher than this, there will be a pinch bolt right here. And in my experience, doesn't matter if it's SLX or XT or whatever, the pinch bolts come loose. And it's always trying to fall off of the spline of the crank. So then you get a bunch of creaking. Hate that. These are tightened to 50 Newton meters on both sides. There's no funning, there's no mussing, there's no fooling around. It just works. The Tektro brakes, pretty damn good brakes. The pads are resin. Everything's heavier, but they are pretty powerful compared to my SRAM level Ultimates. They might be more powerful in certain situations. It's kind of hard to tell. They feel good. And you can put metallic pads in there. If you were to buy this bicycle brand new and you were going to ride it in the winter and stuff like I do, I highly recommend taking those stock pads out, putting the metallic pads in. Of course, you're probably going to need a new rotor, but maybe you could find a cheap 160 and a cheap 180 and have yourself a pretty mean setup. You might even have more power then. The rear hub's kind of a joke. The engagement's not super good. I mean, it's actually better than what you'd think. I don't know. It's a $600 bike or whatever. I actually got some money off of this because they had sold a bike out from under me there, so I got it for the price of a Marlin 5, but it's been such an incredibly good bike. I did put a Chinese carbon seat post on it. The stock saddle's okay. I mean, that's all personal preference. But I've seen so many reviews on Marlin 6, Kev Central reviews and random people on YouTube, but none of the bikes are ever ridden. And you can review this along with any other bike in the same price point, and you're not going to get the fact that the other bike's going to have the dropouts move, so it's going to be a piece of crap. Whereas this one is solid. I mean, when I loosen that rear dropout, I actually have to tap the top of the tire to get it out. I think it's kind of cupped in there, is where other ones are, they have, you know, just too much space on the bottom, or they're just, the frames aren't stiff enough. I don't know why, but this is just such a good bike. The frame is. And the wheel set, despite the fact that it's super cheap, and it stays true. It doesn't have the best rolling resistance, but I mean, it's, you know, it's got really cheap hubs and stuff, but really good bike so far. I think it's a 69-degree head angle and a 73-degree seat tube, so the geometry is not super progressive, and you know, it sounds kind of like a shopping cart with the cables and that, but for this price point, it's not going to get any better. These are separate, so you can have, you know, good distance. I like to have just my index finger on the actual brake, and then I can barely reach the shifter, which is okay. And it's not that bad. But I mean, the brakes, you're not going to use more than one finger, so. These XR3 tires, they're really good. You might have to put some zip ties on the cable so it clears the chain stay there like I did. It's kind of getting close to it, but after that it doesn't come into contact anymore. All of them might be different. But this bike's seen quite a bit of use and abuse, and it doesn't creak, it doesn't rattle, it's super quiet still. I mean, I've had $4,000 bikes that aren't that good. Let me know if you got any questions in the comments.